and they sent a boat across for me, and I went across the Mi Amigo and slotted in 6 to 9 in the evening.
At 6 o'clock. We present the Admiral Robbie Dale. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere.
Are you ready for this? I told you it was coming. Woo! JB! And he's ready to sock it to you one time.
Pennant, baby!
I think we were so enjoying being out on the sea, and we realised that we were at the start of something. I think even then we realised that we were really at the start of something that was breaking down the BBC monopoly, which for us was very important, because up until then the government and the BBC had said, oh, people don't honestly want popular music. They will get what we think that they should have. And we did prove, you know, in those early days, the fact that people did want popular music, and they wanted just a lot of light-hearted entertainment. And so now and then we got a naval boat that came out just to check out to see whether or not we were in the limit, in the 3-mile limit. But apart from that, we weren't really aware that we could ever be got off the air.
You're tuned to Radio Caroline on 199, England's first commercial radio station and your all-day music station. The time is 29 minutes past 1, and here is a Radio Caroline news report. At 12:20 p.m. today, May the 6th, 1964, Her Majesty's vessel Venturus, flying the Blue Ensign, drew close on Caroline's port side. Permission was asked for them to board and see our bonded stores. The captain of the Caroline stated this was against the law, as we lie in international waters, but would allow one man to come across in a lifeboat. This offer was not accepted. At 12:33, the Venturus drew off, and after drifting close for some moments, turned and steamed away. We shall, of course, interrupt any scheduled programs any time to bring you news as and when it happens. But now, everything's all right.
In a little cafe, just the other side of the border.
But I think, looking back on it, I mean, I was out there in total with the pirate ships for 3 years. You tend to look back and you think about the good times. And we used to, at the same time, look at the seashore, because we could see Frinton and Clacton and the Essex coastline. We used to think, you know, it must be marvellous just to be on shore again and enjoying an everyday life. Because it was an unnatural way to live, really, because we were on the boat 2 weeks at a time and a week off. But in the early stages, it was very, very good fun. In fact, you know, the 3 years that I had out there, I wouldn't have missed it for the world. And I think the kids now who listen nowadays, I wish that they could actually hear it again, because the atmosphere that it created has never, whether it be the BBC or local commercial or local broadcasting, you still can't create that atmosphere of people living on board a ship.
Calling Caroline Club members and those about to join. Music Echo, the new name for Mersey Beat, the weekly pop paper, are offering all Caroline Club members a reduced rate subscription for either 6 months at 16 and 6 or a year at £1.13. Now, members placing subscriptions will receive the paper by first post Thursday, which means they will have it before or at the same time as it's available in the shops. This is a big saving on the normal rate, and it's only available to Caroline Club members. So, if you're not a member yet, hurry up and join by sending your name and address and 5 shillings to Caroline Club Membership Department, 6 Chesterfield Gardens, London, West 1.
Hello, this is Peter.
This is Gordon.
And we'd like to wish Radio Caroline a very happy birthday.
And best wishes for the coming year. And we'd like to also thank them for playing all our records occasionally.
In this last year. And we'd also like to say that we hope they play the new one, True Love Ways, as much as they played the last one.
So, happy birthday to you.
And thanks for everything.
Just you know why you and I will by and by no true love ways.
Originally, when Radio Caroline first started, there was Radio Atlanta and Radio Caroline, and when I got out there about 4 weeks later, the other ship had moved up to the north. But in the opening stages, It all happened really in a pub, I gather. Alan Crawford, who was an Australian, he owned Radio Atlanta, which became Radio Caroline at South. And he met Ronan O'Reilly in a pub somewhere, and he told Ronan O'Reilly, who hadn't thought about starting up a pirate ship, about this idea he'd got, about the fact that you could anchor a ship 3.5 miles out, or 3 miles out, just for safety 3.5 miles out in territorial waters, register a boat in Panama. And he told Ronan O'Reilly about this idea that he had about broadcasting popular music from a boat. And Ronan O'Reilly, whose father, I think, owns, or he did at one time, owned quite a few places all around the Irish coast where they actually fit boats up. He said to Alan Crawford, he said, bring your boat into our little harbour and you can fit it up there. Now, what Alan Crawford didn't know was that in the meantime, Ronan O'Reilly, who thought this was a great idea, bought his own boat and made sure that his boat got fitted up before Alan Crawford's did.
We had a slight advantage in that race, being the fact that we had started early and the ship was in my father's port. So we did have a slight advantage. In fact, at one time, one of the very friendly Irishmen who worked one of the cranes in the port, knowing that there was the sort of battle and race on, one afternoon said to me, he said, "Oh, Ronan," he said, you see that crane over there? He said, if that load fell off on top of that other ship, he said, they might take a long time to get repaired again. So I said, no, thank you very much. It's not that kind of, I probably had been in England too long already, and I said, that's not cricket. But it was very much, the rivalry was like they nicked crystals from each other's ship, and they nicked gramophone players from, there was all that kind of funny business going on. I mean, there was that kind of almost schoolboy rivalry.
And so they both came to an agreement whereby one boat went up north, because they thought, well, let's try and cover the whole country. So one boat went up north and one boat went to the south.
Well, there had been several other projects, in fact, as you discover, several groups into doing things on this sort of basis. To give credit to one particular character who's always been thought of as being terribly establishment, Jocelyn Stevens. He had tremendous courage and enterprise, Anyway, we took off with Jocelyn to the coast down to Harwich to go out, right, obviously, and we were listening all the way down, and then we went out to go out to the station, right? And what Jocelyn was very worried about, because he knew a lot about Fleet Street, I didn't know anything about Fleet Street, and Jocelyn was very worried that they'd just completely ignore it, right? And that in fact what would happen would be there would be no coverage whatsoever of the event. Radio Caroline on the Sunday morning papers, which came out on Saturday night, there wouldn't be one word, right? We came back and we drove back, sort of leaving Harwich or somewhere about 10 o'clock, and we got into London at around 2:30 in the morning, Saturday night. 5 or 6 of us in the car. And straight into Fleet Street to pick up the papers, you see. So the first paper we got to was the Sunday Mirror. Right? Now, Jocelyn had given us, who were complete innocents to the whole journalistic thing, I mean, we just didn't know anything about it, had said this was his worry, that in fact it would be ignored, right? Picked up the Sunday Mirror, not a word. From the front page to the back page, nothing. Absolutely, it hadn't happened, right? Jocelyn said, I told him, he said, that's what I was worried about, right? Nothing being carried, right? So then we raced on, and I think it was the Sunday Times we got next. Sunday Times, front page, and all the others virtually carried it.
The Observer, 29th of March, 1964. Commercial radio broadcasts to the London area from a ship moored 5 miles off Harwich are planned to start within a week. Tests began yesterday and were heard clearly in London.
Sunday Times. Happy Easter. This is Radio Caroline on 199 meters. That's what the disc jockey announced in his more or less authentic mid-Atlantic accent at precisely midday today. And despite a vicious easterly wind, the motor vessel Caroline, former 702-ton passenger ferry bouncing somewhere in the North Sea, had become the first pirate radio transmitting station for East Anglia and the home counties.
The pirates with an armoury of 8,000 pop records chuckled on the waves of the North Sea today and repelled attackers with a flick of a gramophone needle. As Freddie and the Dreamers yelled, "If you want to make a fool of somebody," to an audience all over East Anglia and London, the pirate radio motor vessel Caroline was in business.
This is Radio Caroline on 199. The time is 12 o'clock. Hello, this is Chris Moore. I'll be with you playing records for the next 2 hours.
Can't buy me love.
Caroline was far from top 40. In fact, I remember presenting a program of soundtrack music, of all things. It was very much middle-of-the-road music. Top 40, in fact, didn't come really until Radio London came on the Ouches in December 1964. It was very much top 40, the top-selling 40 singles in Great Britain. But Caroline was very more relaxed in the style of music. They played music for the housewife between 9 and 12 in the morning, and certainly between 2 and 4 in the afternoon. There were the Caroline Top 40 charts as such, but that was not the basic playlist. People looking back would tend to say that Radio Caroline was a top 40 station. It wasn't in the early days.
Hi there, this is Radio Caroline, and the spot where I'd like to introduce Anne Shelton to bring you a great new program on behalf of Finn and Salt. Stand by, here's Anne Shelton.
Hello there. I hope you will tune in to my Memory Lane program starting on Sunday, the 18th of April at 12:15. And if you have a request that brings back memories for you or your family, drop me a line giving me the title and why it brings back memories to Anne Shelton, Memory Lane, Radio Caroline, Chesterfield Gardens, W1.
903883. You know the number. It's Computer Car, the simple modern way of matching up buyers and sellers of cars. And we can now offer you a remarkable new service. It's Computer Car's new AutoGuard warranty service. From now on, any car put on Computer Car will be covered by a free, and we do mean free, warranty on major parts for 3,000 miles or 3 months. It's a comforting thought, isn't it? So put your mind at rest if you're buying or selling a car and call 01-903883.
Hi, this is Our Price Records. Are you bald? Going thin on top? Then try this remarkable Our Price offer. Within 1 minute, even if you are completely bald, you could have split ends.
I don't know why sometimes I get frightened. You can see my eyes, can you tell?
Split Ends, I Got You, from the album True Colors. Available at the incredible Our Price price of $3.49. Get Split Ends, get down to Our Price.
Capital 194.
From New York City, it's the Jack Spector Show for Radio Caroline.
Within the next few minutes, some lucky Radio Caroline listener could win as much as £2,730. Let's play Caroline Cash Casino.
The Admiral needs you. Enlist in the Beat Fleet. Get your commission and swear allegiance to the flagship Caroline. Send a stamped addressed envelope to the Beat Fleet, P.O. Box 616, Notting Hill Gate, London, West 11. Remember, the Admiral needs you.
Yes, darlings, that's how you get your commission in the Beat Fleet. Like I said, I gotta go. We've come to the end of the show. It's all done. We've had fun. So sad. Too bad. But before I go, let me give you that standing date. Yes, tomorrow night, 6 o'clock on the dot, I'll be back here on Caroline South, and I hope you'll be with me.
Oh, there was one occasion when a large barge came alongside, and there were perhaps 50 or 60 students on this boat. and we transferred across the boat because it was full of young ladies from Cambridge or somewhere like that. And it sailed around for a couple of hours. Meanwhile, the tide had changed, and it was running quite strongly. And because this vehicle had sails, he couldn't get too close to the ship because, you know, the Caroline had a cross member on its main antenna. And so we decided to swim back, and we went over the side, and I, in fact, didn't make it. And the captain had to launch a lifeboat to pick me up, and by the time they got to me, I was about 2 miles south of the ship. I'd gone with the tide, and there I was just paddling in the water, and I thought, well, if they don't get to me soon, I'm going to go down.
This is the Sound of a Nation, Radio Caroline South, 259 meters, medium wave band. The time right now is 9 o'clock.
Newsbeat. Bringing news to the nation. This is Radio Caroline Newsbeat, fast and factual.
Australia, Sir Francis Chichester has run into rough conditions in the Tasman Sea. Several hundred miles north of his position, there is a fierce cyclone that is causing strong winds and making the sea rough. China, following an incident at the Chinese embassy in Belgrade in which a window was smashed, Chinese members of the staff at the Yugoslav embassy in Peking have gone on strike in protest of the incident. America, it's been announced that since the 1950s, America's arms sales to foreign countries have increased by 600%. Last year's sales had a value of over £700 million. As a result of the American sales, Britain can't even sell enough arms to Germany to offset the cost of the Rhine Army. That's the news now on the weather front. The south will have a mixture of sunny periods and showers. In central and northern districts, it will remain cloudy with showers. The showery conditions will continue on Tuesday and Wednesday. However, it will become colder with frost at night in some districts. The current Caroline temperature check, 10 degrees centigrade, 50 Fahrenheit.
This has been Caroline Newsbeat.
Caroline, the sound of the nation. Caroline, the sound. Caroline, the sound of the nation.
A plan to drive the defiant pop pirate radio station Caroline off the air is ready to go into action. The plan, which has taken customs men working with police and Treasury officials 6 months to prepare, begins when the Marine Broadcasting Offences Act, banning the pop pirates, becomes law at midnight. Radio Caroline has announced that it intends to continue broadcasting, the only pirate to defy the new law.
We've got another winner. It's number one.
It is indeed number one. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to listen to this fantastic sound from the Procol Harum, the most important pop on the scene of sound.
Leading up to midnight was perhaps the sweaty palm time, because both Johnny Walker and myself were wondering whether we'd made the right decision, of course. But we stood on our principles. We'd said already we're going to do this. We're not going to tolerate this that will swing a monopoly back to the BBC. And, of course, we had literally millions of listeners who were supporting us. We'd had tremendous receptions in the week prior to the bill, when we were on shore, and we felt we were dedicated to the concept of free radio, young and full of ideals, of course.
Robbie Dale and I had all the big G up of having a week's leave in London, and we went to this show that was at the Bell Tavern. They had Procol Harum doing Whiter Shade of Pale when they were number one, and there were millions of people there, and there were flowers all over the place, and everybody was giving us the big G up. Yeah, go out there, you know, have a go, keep the station going, sort of thing. Because by then everybody had the news that all the rest of the pirate stations were going to close down on August 14th. And we had a big send-off at Liverpool Street. Lots of people were waiting to send us off, and also to welcome back the Radio London jocks who just closed down. And it was really pretty emotional at 3 o'clock on that afternoon when Radio London went off the air and gave it the old farewell. And Robbie and I, when we got to Caroline, all the rest of the DJs who had decided to stay with the station changed their mind because, like I say, they didn't have that G-up that we'd had. on shore for a week.
20.5 minutes now before the hour of 1 o'clock, right here on the Telly Tom Edwards Lunchtime Show. Just had a look outside, in actual fact, and our tender has just drawn alongside the good ship Caroline with a great big kapow, and the Admiral, Robbie Dale, and Sir Johnny Walker are on it, looking at...
They've been sitting out there on the boat worrying about the whole thing. And there was Tom Edwards and Roger Day and a whole bunch of them just kind of, you know, decided to leave the station. So there we were with the 24-hour radio station. It was Robbie Dale and myself and a guy who used to read the news on Radio City.
And today, of course, is a very important day for everybody who's been concerned with offshore radio ever since its sort of inception, which I think was round about 1964 when Caroline first came on the air, Easter 1964. And I'm not going to sort of finish what I was going to say because the lad himself is here, looking very wet.
Hello there.
And a little... Well, he's not looking seasick at all.
No, let me tell you something.
Yes,
I haven't had
Johnny Walker.
I haven't had any sleep last night.
Yeah.
And I've just spent about 2 hours in a 4-7 gale on a little boat.
Yeah.
And normally I should be as sick as a dog, but I feel beautiful. Because today, this is the greatest day, not only of my life, but of Radio Caroline. The finest hour, midnight.
My goodness, he doesn't look at all.
I remember some journalists were out there too. They were taking photographs and stuff in the studio. And then I made that announcement at 12 midnight. Caroline enters a new phase of broadcasting. And Caroline started off, the very first record that they played was the Beatles' Can't Buy Me Love, and the record that we played at midnight on August 14th was the Beatles and All You Needed Is Love. I was just, it was an amazing moment for me because it was really charged with emotion because I knew so many people were tuning in and so many people wanted to wait, you know, and see if actually we were going to go ahead with it, you know, and continue to broadcast after midnight.
Daily Mirror, mutiny of the pirate fans. Teenagers in mourning mob DJ train.